what is up? It is Drew and we're back again with another video. Today what we're going to be doing is something special. Today we're going to be working on the Infiniti FX35. It's a 2003 model and we're just going to be doing some maintenance things. We're going to be doing something big to it. But before we do anything of that, we're just going to be doing an oil change, so I'm just going to go through the step-by-step process of changing the oil for the Infiniti FX35. Yeah, so there's pretty much not that much that goes into an oil change, It's pretty much the same thing. All you got to do is obviously get the oil. For the Infiniti FX35, you got this high mileage synthetic blend, and it's the 5W30. That's what AutoZone recommends, and you obviously got to get the oil filter. This is just a STP, let's see, S6607. Some regular filter, nothing too special. Basically, the Infiniti takes, I believe it was 5 quarts of oil, but we just got another one just in case. Just to top it off, and just to always keep it in the car just in case, because those VQ engines do consume a lot of oil. So you just want to make sure you always have an extra quart of oil, So obviously not too much that goes into the setup. Basically right now, we just have it on ramps. Basically, we're just gonna put it up on ramps and get the oil drained out and do the whole process. Okay, so after you get the car all jacked up or raised up, pretty much we're gonna go down here and you have to take out the caps. So basically, it's just these sockets right here. There should be about, I believe, 12. Once you take those out, then you just untighten the oil filter and that should be good. This bolt there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we pretty much got the bottom under tray taken off. It's just a couple bolts there. And that I already double checked on. I thought that the Infiniti was leaking some coolant, but turns out it was just an overfill. And my brother basically just spilled some, so that's why that's there. Kind of scared me for a second, but now moving on to the actual process down here where you check on the oil. You obviously have the oil filter right there, and if we get the light, you can see that little bolt there. That's the drain plug right there. Now that is pretty much a, let's see, it is I'm not sure if you can see it. It's a 14mm bolt right there, and basically you're just gonna open that and drain the oil into there, and then later remove that filter and get the new one on. Alright, so I'm not sure if you guys can see, but pretty much already, it's a little rusted, but managed to slightly break the bolt. And basically you just gotta be careful with this step now. Car is warmed up a little bit, so hopefully the engine oil is warm, so comes out pretty smoothly. Let's just try not to get any oil on our hands, or on the floor, but there we go. And somewhat of a success, but yeah. Pretty much just let that drain out, and once that's done, next hard task will be trying to remove the actual oil filter. Okay, so right now we're just letting the oil drain, and in the meantime we're just gonna take a nice quick look at the oil, just checking, making sure that there's no anything sparkling, any metals, and everything seems to be looking good. So tells us that a little bit about the engine, But now we're gonna basically move on to removing the filter and basically putting on this new filter on the old Infiniti right over there as we let the oil drain. All right, you guys, so pretty much basically what we got here rigged up is I don't have the actual tool with me right now to remove the oil filter, so I'm just using this wrench pretty much, and just trying to break it loose, and hopefully got a lot of leverage on it, so it should be pretty easy. Get back to you once I take it out, and we should check on and see what happens from there. Okay, so we actually got some success. Basically, we've managed to get it nice and loose to where I can turn it with my hand. Now basically I just got the oil pan underneath here because it is gonna drip some oil. But one tip that I would actually recommend is getting a plastic bag and putting it over the oil filter, so when you take it out, you can try to catch all the oil that's gonna be coming out, just so you don't get it over here, like the front sway bar, things like that, I mean, it's not bad if it gets on it, you'll just have to clean it up, so the tip with that plastic bag, it will help a little bit. So we're just gonna get a plastic bag real quick and see how that goes. Let's try to see if I can get this set up, rigged up, so I can show you guys a nice little plastic bag trick. Hopefully it works, but just put on some gloves just in case. Pretty much got any plastic bag here, and now it's at, we're just gonna loosen it up. So just with 2 hands. It's a little harder with the plastic bag, but let's see. Okay. All right. Okay, that was kind of a fail, but let's try it again. So we're gonna try to catch it. All right, now it's okay. There we go. It's twisting, and let's see if we can catch the oil filter and all of its oil. Oh, yep, it's catching some of it there. Almost out. Come on. Woo. Oh, there we go. There's a little seal. And that's why you also want to keep the oil pan down here, because there is going to be some oil dripping, but you can catch a lot of oil in this bag right here. You can see how filled up it is. But yeah, basically we're just going to let that drain, get the new oil filter, and apply it on there. All right, so going back here to the workstation, I'm just going to show you what to do with this oil filter. Basically, you got the new oil filter. Now what you want to do is get a little bit of oil on your finger, just like that. And you want to apply it on the seal right here. Now what this is going to do is just going to help lubricate the seal, so as you're tightening it on, the oil filter is not supposed to be on that tight, but just tight enough so it doesn't fall off when you're driving or anything like that. But basically this helps lubricate it, so when you actually tighten it, you don't actually rip this rubber seal. You can see that's a little dry. So basically with the oil, what you're doing is you're just help lubricating it. And I like to put a little extra oil in there, and basically what you want to do is actually pour. Let's clean up my finger a little bit. So you don't want to fill up the actual oil filter, but basically what you want to do is just get a little bit in there. It should be good enough, like that. A little less than halfway of the actual oil filter. And what that's just going to do is just help lubricate the actual cleaning fins that are in the oil filter, just so when it goes in and you start it up for the first time, it's not as rough on the filter. You want this to last as long as possible, but you do want to make sure you're doing your routine oil changes though. All right, now just gonna go back down here, and right as that's letting it drip down, we're just gonna get this new oil filter. It's about less than halfway full. You just want to screw it on. Now when tightening this, you don't want to tighten it too tight, you know, to where you're messing anything up, but you obviously want it tightened enough so it won't come loose, you know, when you hit bumps, things like that, you know. So basically I just like to tighten it with my hand, but I like to use rubber gloves to assist with the actual grip of this oil filter, just because, you know, it might slip or you may not have a good grip on your hands. And if you can tighten it with your wrist, you know, with some gloves on, I feel like that's more than tight enough with these oil filters. All right, so these are pretty much the gloves that I'm talking about, you know, just normal rubber gloves. And basically what I'm gonna do is basically tighten. Let's see if I can get a nice good angle for you guys right here. But with these gloves, it just helps with the extra grip. And basically what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna tighten it up with two hands. I'm nowhere near, you know, I'm not strong at all, you know, I'm not the Hulk or anything like that, but with these rubber gloves, it will help you get a lot more grip. And basically, if you can tighten it as hard as possible, you know, obviously if you're really strong, then, you know, you got to be careful with it. But if you're like me, you know, obviously not that strong, you know, and you have these rubber gloves and you tighten it as hard as you can, that's more than enough, you know. You don't need to torque it down or anything like that. You could if you want to, but I just personally tend to go this way. Whew. There we go. And it's just like that. It's nice and tight. That thing's definitely not going anywhere. Kind of hurt my wrist while doing that. But, you know, if you haven't done this already, you want to get your drain plug. Make sure it's lubricated and some oil, just so, you know, none of the threads, you know, that's just something I do. But you want to make sure you put the, obviously, plug on and get your 5 quarts of oil right here. This is Pennzoil high mileage 5W30. That's what they recommended for me at AutoZone, so it should work. And I personally prefer Pennzoil over any oil, but that's just me. You know, maybe it's the advertisements that get me, I don't know. But we'll just move on to that step now. All right, get some good lighting for you guys. Basically, just tightening up the bolt here. You just want to finger tighten it first. You know, want to make sure the threads are going in correctly. And there we go. Clean up your hands a little bit. You can clean up the little area, you know, from all the oil that was dripping. I don't have any shop towels with me, so we're just making it work with some normal kitchen towels. But basically, we're just gonna blow off everything at the end with some compressed air. Make sure we don't have anything leaving on there. But just want to get your socket. Make sure that you're tightening it now. And just start to tighten it. Nothing too hard with it, but because it is a small bolt, you don't want to tighten it too tight, but just tighten it up. And there we go. That should be more than enough. That puppy's not going to come off anytime soon, unless if someone's actually going to be taking it off. But yeah, just make sure you clean up all the areas, you know. Just leave a nice work area clean and spotless there. There we go. And just like that, we're just gonna put on the covers now, or you can do that towards the end. And we're basically just gonna fill it up with oil now. We're here at pretty much the final step. Basically, you got the oil, and you know, put the oil funnel right there, and pretty much got the 5 quarts here. Just gonna, you know, see 5 quarts there, and we're just pretty much gonna slowly dump it in there. And just gonna get back to you once this 5 quarts are finally in the engine, nice and clean, and give it a nice start up. Check everything down there, make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. But you just want to go in nice and slow and consistent. You don't want to just dump everything, you know, it might overfill, so you just want to make sure of that.